So we're on. Okay. Okay, we're going to try this a second time because we're having some technical difficulties. If you're on Zoom, please bear with us. So we've called our meeting to order and now I'm asking for any citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments? No. Are there any additions to or deletions from the posted agenda?
Yes, I have two. One, for the trustees to make a designated signer for the warrants. Bill Corson has been the trustees. Bill Corson has been the signer since he's been a board member. With him stepping down, we need someone else designated to come in and sign the warrant so we can pay our bills. So I want to add that. And then I also want to add an executive session for personnel issues if need be. As we had this conversation, if we need to go into executive session, I just want to make sure we have the option to do that. So I want to add that as well.
Okay, when do you want to talk about designating the warrants? Do you want to do that first? Or
I think we do that first. That should be
okay.
I have a suggestion for that.
Yes. Jeffrey.
I used to do that. Bill's done that. And if Frank has room, there's a lot of learning that would be involved by doing that, if you have time to do that.
Sure, what's the requirement?
Well, I can tell you, it's not difficult, but there's sort of little nuances of things that I could show somebody how to do and make it do it faster. There's, you have to verify the bills and then have to do the warrants
Are.
to make sure.
Okay, he doesn't know what the warrants are.
It's essentially verifying how people are getting paid and being paid correctly, all the employees of the village.
Gotcha.
And it's not very difficult. It's just there are certain things to look at. Oh, this needs to be looked at this way, and this you have to understand how that page looks. And there's a couple of things that probably 20 minutes, half hour, I could show whoever wants to do it. Not even that much time, as long as they're complete files and have a lot of regular stuff. And there's just two kinds. You have to verify the bills, how they're being paid, make sure they're being paid correctly. And the other thing is the warrants of the employees' salaries and the paychecks.
And the important thing is, if you have questions, Mr. Duffy is generally available to answer. We'll direct you to someone who can.
Yeah.
Because when you sign off, the rest of us see that you've asked those questions if there ever were any.
Got it.
Right.
So we're trusting your signature.
Theoretically, everybody has to do it, except what we've done in the past. We trusted one of the village trustees to do it on behalf of us. And then if I sign it, everybody pretty much trusts that I did it correctly. And of course, I always do. So.
Got it.
It doesn't mean that you can't. So when he signs it, even if I still have questions, I'll ask Eric or.
yeah.
Right. That's
It's,
right.
it's just a method so we can get the checks out quicker instead of having all 5 members sign it and waiting for 5 members of select board and the trustees or one person sign it. Kind of give them approval, then we send the checks out and then people can review it.
Yeah.
As well.
I'll sit with you the first time or two, make sure you're comfortable.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
What if we all sat in on
Sure.
that learning lesson
Sure.
in case something happened with Frank where he might be sick?
We can't have more than two
Oh,
people at a time.
geez. Okay.
Yeah, but you can do that, Brenda. I used to
Okay,
do.
I would be happy to do that. I would like
Yeah.
to learn that.
Or I could do it one-on-one
Okay.
with anybody else if you want.
Okay.
I mean,
Perfect.
I kind of, it takes a little time to do each time. And then you back 3 or 4 files or like several files because Patricia backed up from December and he got it. I was like, oh my God, there are 9 files. But that rarely happens. You go in every other week or so, you'll pick up 2 or 3 of them. And the employees get paid every
2 weeks.
2 weeks, about, yeah, say every other week, right? That's right.
And of course, I'm always happy to come in, or if you're like, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, like.
Yeah.
One can always do
Yeah.
it.
So just Patricia or Eric can let me know in some files and we'll get in touch. And I just need your contact info, Frank. Do you have a cell number that you allowed to do that over the meeting?
Well, we can get so after that.
Afterwards, yeah, okay, all right, that's not appropriate.
All Woodstock get to have his phone.
Yeah, that's right, that's not appropriate.
Yes, it'll happen soon enough.
Do that,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, congratulations, Frank.
Thank you.
Frank,
Thank you.
Excuse
Bill
me.
Bird.
yeah,
Could
my
you,
biggest contribution in the entire.
Yeah, Jill has a question.
Oh, please, go ahead, Jill.
could you turn the camera on the meeting, please?
It's not working.
Oh,
We-
okay, it's
We
very
can see
strange not to
you
see.
and we can hear you, but you can't see
Yeah,
us
yeah.
because the camera's not working.
Okay,
I mean, I can turn,
thank you.
I mean, I can turn my camera.
okay, can you just turn your camera around?
You could
We'll just have some sense of something.
face the.
Oh, there you go. Look at that,
Lovely, thank you very much.
innovation.
We weird without my laptop in front of me. No one asked any questions. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Frank. Thank you, Bill, for doing that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, and so the next item on the agenda is discussion on how to fill the soon-to-be vacant trustee position. Bill has decided to resign. His effective April 1. Thank you, Bill, for the past, how many years?
That was
4 years?
Yes.
Yeah, so we appreciate it.
Support, I appreciate it very much. If I'm allowed to say something,
Please.
you know, for me, it's a great contribution to be able to contribute to our local trustees, local government. And to see you enjoyed it or not, it's just been it's a great process to go through. And it's also a great honor to be part of this organization, part of this trustee, this village trustee board. But, you know, my situation is strictly personal, has nothing to do with the people on the board or people I like or don't like. I like everybody and I love talking to members, constituents in town. But I just have too much going on in my life in terms of other duties. Some very personal. I retired and I kind of now do more things than I should, which is unfortunately my nature. And
Fortunately, Bill.
yeah, fortunately, it's unfortunate when you have too many things to do. And I feel I've gotten behind on, if you even top on the issues that we're discussing, especially the important issues. And I go, I call Seton, and what's that? How are we doing this, Eric? Because I'm not able to put the time into it that I should. So I feel like I'm not doing a full service where there are other people who are qualified members of the village and would be better suited for this job. So that's why I stepped down. It's just personal activities that I'm involved with. I have some health issues that are not really great. And it's nothing dramatic or nothing serious, but I have to deal with those too sometimes. So anyway, I thank you all for including me all these years. And I wish you all the best in your continued governing duties and efforts.
We wish you the best.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Eric, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so with that announcement, I let trustees know last week that Bill was stepping down. So we have to fill the vacant position. The state requires us to post that the position is open, which we will do. We have not posted it yet because we want to know what the procedure is going to be. My recommendation to the board in the last meeting and again today is to set up a process to have people apply to be on the board, go through an interview process. And then have the board appoint whoever they think is the best person that comes through that process. I recommended the same procedure when Chief Bush announced his resignation, despite having a sergeant in the police force who was a longtime resident, well respected and recommended by the chief. I recommended going through the whole process to kind of see who the best person was. I recommend the same approach when the select board had an opening. Through that process, they found 2 very qualified candidates. One of them, I don't think they would have had if they didn't go through the process. Both of them have added unique perspectives on the board. They both have been valued members of the board and has kind of helped the board be more proactive. So that was my recommendation to the board tonight to follow those steps that we have in the past as I've been here. And I'll turn it over to the chair.
Okay, great. So, so that is the direction that Eric is recommending. I would also recommend that. It's also something that we did. In fact, that's how we got Bill and that's how we got Brenda, is that we had a process where we opened it up to the entire community. We had multiple people apply. And then when we went through the process, we interviewed and then decided on 2 people who have clearly worked out very well. So I think it's a good open process. One of the things that I have heard from residents over and over again is transparency, and they want to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And so I think that in the spirit of transparency, it's very important that we continue that and stay open and honest about everything that we're doing and including the public whenever we can.
I'd like to make a comment.
I have a question too.
Under normal circumstances, usual circumstances, I would totally agree with that procedure. However, what we've just gone through with an election where only 2 people decided to run, where the election was the biggest number of voters in the village in decades, actually, and that it was extremely close. And in fact, Frank one over Lisa Lawler by, I think, 4 votes or 5, something along those lines. Very close. Secondly, our meetings are very poorly attended in general. You can count on one hand or less the number of people who attend in any significant numbers. One of those people is Lisa Lawler. Due to both of those circumstances, I think we should go ahead and publicly state that for those reasons, we should appoint Lisa Lawler. And we have the power to do that. And I would make a motion to appoint Lisa Lawler to fill the term from that is vacant until March of 2025. That's a motion.
I think Bill had a comment.
Sorry, is it,
Well, I'll wait.
is there a
I'd
second
like to
first?
see if there's a
Yeah, I'm
second.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Wait for a second.
Is there a second to my motion?
I think we should let Bill speak first and then.
All right, so what's the procedure? You have to have a second before,
You have to have a second.
A second before,
Before-
and then we have discussion.
before discussion?
No, but then we have a discussion after
Okay.
the second.
We still need a second, though.
Yeah, is there a second to my motion?
A second.
Okay, now I can talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Eric, you said, the first thing you said, this posting was required. Where does that requirement come? Is state, local?
From state, yes.
Okay, and do we have like code or something somebody could look up to see? And not that we don't believe you, but I mean, is there some?
I can get the state statute number
Yeah,
if
it's
you want,
within
yeah.
10 days of the vacancy. So
Within
it's
10.
technically 10 days from when the person resigns. So really it's 10 days
So
after
it's April 10th.
April 1.
April 10th. or-
So we are well within what we need to be doing.
Okay. And as any, I just observation or memory, I guess, when Brenda and I were interested in the job position, I should say, there were people applying who, they're outside the village. They didn't know any better. They just sort of came randomly out of nowhere. It was sort of like a waste of time. And then we had narrowed it down to, I think, 2 others that were in the village at the end of the thing. And I guess we were more honed in on the village, at least I was at the time. My friend has always been honed in. So just an observation, that's all. I'll contribute that.
When the select board put Laura on, they did not open it up again to other candidates.
And I'll say the reason that happened was when they went through the first process with applicants, there were clear top 2 that the boards were interested in. And when another opening came up, the conversation was, if we go through the same process, they knew who they were gonna choose if that person was interested. But if that person was not interested in being appointed, I would have suggested to them to go through the process again and have people apply and interview. It was so clear at that point, because they had gone through the process and interviewed them and talked to them, that everyone knew where the board was gonna end up.
So I understand that. Again, I want to point out the circumstances of a vote that just took place, that's that recent, where the public has put a lot of confidence in this candidate that I made a motion for. And so likewise, like the select board did, we have the power to appoint. And so it's legal. And we can do it.
Good point of clarification. So 10 days after April 1st, obviously April 10th, if we don't act before that, then we can make an appointment without being confined by the law. Is that right?
No, I think we are confined by, and I'm
Other way
happy to
around.
look it up. We are confined by, the state does not say exactly what the process is. It
I
says
see.
that the person has to be appointed, but it just says within 10 days of somebody resigning,
We have to act.
they must.
We have to let the
We have to
public know.
post it.
Yeah,
don't
within 10
necessarily
days, we have to let
fill
the public know that
Okay.
there's a vacancy, so
Understood.
people can either apply or talk to the board to let them know what they feel. It's transparent, people know there's an opening and then someone will be appointed.
Did the select board, I don't recall seeing anything when the select board appointed Laura. This is before they decided to appoint her, stated. There was nothing that was put forward asking for other candidates to apply.
So you don't have to ask for the candidates to apply, you have to just post that the vacancy is open. So all we have to do is say that, all we have to do legally is say that there's an opening on the trustees. Full stop, put it in 2 places publicly, that satisfies the state law. How the board wants to go forward with that appointment, there's no regulation saying how that should happen.
which is why we get to make that decision.
Right, okay, so, you know, if you want to cut things that way, I could amend the motion to read that I nominate Lisa Lawler unless, following a notice, that unless unless we get a response to the notice.
I feel like that's a bit of a conflict because you are putting your finger on the scale to say, this is open to everybody, but you've already made your decision.
Well, wait a minute, you know, I don't see why we have to have such a tight, I mean, I'd like to see this filled as soon as possible. You're saying as of Monday, this is Friday, you're saying as of Monday, it's okay, as so long as we put out the word today, that there's an opening on the,
No, he's talking about the legal requirements. So legally, we have to post it.
I,
Yeah, so, but we can start the process today. That's okay. But we need to post it publicly. And then
So-
the process to
so
fill it is
After
our,
this meeting, Nikki can literally go outside and put a piece of paper in front of town hall and the library that says there's an opening on a sticky note, basically. And we fulfilled the state statutes. We have to do that. That has to be done. We'll do that. How the trustees get another board member is completely up to the trustees, whatever process you want to do. So you can appoint someone, you can go through a process, you can pick someone from random walking through the green and ask them if they live in the village and appoint them if you want.
yes,
There's no process. So as long as we do the state statute part, we have to get that done. Beyond that, it's up to the trustees how the procedure works to appoint someone new.
well, I would just like to speed things up so that we don't even have to have a special meeting, unless we do. So I would say, again, and I'll make it clearer perhaps, so you understand my meaning, that my motion is that we appoint Lisa Lawler unless after notice, someone else, we suddenly have other people, 1 or 10, want to be a trustee, in which case, we open it up completely to everyone. And then we do not even have to get back together if we vote today. And if we vote to put Lisa on under those circumstances.
how is that different than just opening it up and anybody who wants to apply? can
It's
apply?
different because we don't have to have another meeting. Anyone else can apply and we are no longer voting for Lisa Lawler under my motion if we have other applicants to vote for. I know you want other people to run.
No, I want anybody who wants to run to
Yeah,
run. This is an
Exactly.
open-
I hear that, and that's why I amended my motion.
So if I could suggest a compromise potentially, I have an application that we'll use in front of me. The candidate we're talking about, I believe, is in the room, correct?
Mhm.
I can hand this document to them. They could fill it out right now.
Okay,
We could have a process, go forward. If no one else applies and this person chooses to apply, they can be appointed first thing in the meeting. Then the trustees meeting is in 11 days. On the 9th, they could be appointed at that meeting. If other people apply, then we can start the process. There's no meeting between now and then. There's no special meeting scheduled. So we can have an open process where we ask people to apply. This candidate can apply. If no one else applies, then the conversation can occur on that person. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There is a motion that hasn't seconded. So I believe the board should take that up first. The motion is.
Is there any further
Yeah.
discussion?
yeah, I'm still not clear as to why the select board did not have to go through the process that you're just now saying. It's just because of an interview, because they had previously talked to this person. So how was that allowed?
So the board, state statute allows the board to appoint a person to, they don't say how you have to do it.
Oh,
They don't say how you can do, like I said, any way the boards choose. My recommendation has been to go that process.
but not your recommendation. The state statute says you can appoint. Is that what the select board did? Without opening it up when they appointed Laura?
The second opening, they appointed Laura Powell, because, so they had the first process, and they had about 7 applicants. They interviewed all 7 of them. They had 2 that they feel were the most qualified. They appointed one of them at that process. 2 months later, another opening came up.
And did
and-
they open that up to the public at that point when Mary Riley retired? That's my point.
Yeah, no, they did not. They felt that they had just gone through the process 2 months earlier
They felt that they had a candidate that they could.
because they'd gone through the process and they knew the person who they were going to appoint. And the assumption was, I don't want to speak for the board, but the assumption was that they went through the same process that they just gone through 2 months previous. They had a very strong feeling who they want to appoint at that point because they had a public interview with that person.
Fine.
Yeah.
So basically, they did not open it up the second time to see when Mary Riley retired, to see if anyone else wanted to run.
That's correct.
That's good. That's the only reason why I am applying the exact same premise here. It's the exact same thing.
It's different
And
because they went
it's-
through the process. It's a different
And
process.
this was a different circumstance where we just had a vote that was so close with a tremendous public support for someone else and someone else who has shown up for our meeting. So I think that
This is not the time to talk about the merits of any particular candidate. We're just talking about the process.
well, yes, it is a time because you're talking about someone who the select board appointed because they thought merits were already decided.
I'm sorry, Jill, did you have a comment?
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that the very nature of this argument suggests that it's actually easier for everybody to follow the rules every time and not have exceptions. Exceptions cause issues like the debate you're having right now. I actually agree with Jeff that Lisa has a lot of support. So maybe nobody else will actually apply. But the fact that you follow the rules means that the decisions are easier the next time because you just do exactly the same.
So I think to Jill's point, after whatever process the trustees decide, I think it might be good for the board to
I don't know.
codify what the process should be going forward, so we know ahead of time.
I like it.
I think it should be noted that the select board did not follow.
I think we've noted
procedure.
that.
Should. So
So there's a motion on the table, it isn't seconded. So either the trustee should vote on that motion, or if the motion wants to be rescinded by the person who made the motion, that can happen as well.
What is your use? Because it seems like you've changed your motion. So do you want to make? a
I
separate
wanted,
motion?
I wanted to make things easier to who I think is the obvious candidate and seeing as nobody else applied to run other than Frank and Lisa, and there was great support for both of them. I'm just using common sense and the precedent that the select board said to appoint. So that's my motion. I'm going to stick with my original motion.
So your original motion is, can you repeat it just so we have it?
My motion is to appoint Lisa Lawler to the Board of Trustees for the balance of 2024 until March of 2025, when an election has to take place again. That's my motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
Already was a second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion, Frank?
No, I think that we should go through the process.
Bill?
I have no further questions.
Okay. And I think that we should keep things in an open process where anybody can apply. I appreciate that there were two candidates. There was a first and a second. But I want to keep things open to anybody who wants to apply, and whoever is the best candidate will choose that candidate. Because we've been tasked to keep things open and transparent and to not show favoritism in any way, shape, or form as much as we possibly can. So let's keep it open, and whoever applies and is the best candidate, we'll go with that candidate.
Okay, I want to say that this is not favoritism. The reasons I put my motion forward is because I looked at who the public wanted and who actually stood up to apply. There were two great people who applied, and it's not favoritism. I think it's clear, just in the case of Laura, it was clear to the select board, and they went ahead and appointed her for that reason. But it's clear for that reason, and the reason that I stated that she's familiar with the board, and very few people have shown up for meetings. So it's not favoritism. It's, I think, an excellent candidate.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill, we need your vote.
I abstain.
Okay, we really need you to make a decision. It's
I-
your last vote.
I abstain. There's no reason I could take sides on this. It's a very delicate issue. We're a small town, a lot of people, each other's friends, and I can't vote on this. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, then the motion fails. Okay, so,
So the motion was 2-2?
yeah, so the motion fails. It needs 3 votes to pass.
Right.
And Bill chose to abstain.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we follow Eric's suggestion. He's got an application, we create an application post for anybody who wants to apply, and anybody who wants to apply, fill out the application. We choose a date by which that application needs to be turned in, and then a time for us to have interviews, whether that's at a regular meeting or a special meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
And just to clarify, that's just the inverse of what we just voted on. It's just the opposite, right?
It's a different procedure than what was
It's a
voted on.
To me, it seems like just the same thing, only stated backwards.
So the motion that was just not passed was to today appoint a member. The motion that's on the floor now is to go through a process and have people apply and interview them and then make a decision after that.
I understand.
Is there discussion on the motion? Public comment on the motion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Bill?
I'm gonna abstain again. I'm gonna make your life
Okay.
miserable. I'm sorry.
Those opposed? Okay, so then we do not have a process for how to do this. Or is there another motion for how to fill this vacancy? Another process to fill this vacancy? We have been tasked by the voters to fill this vacancy, so we need a motion for how to do this. Do you have a third option for us,
The
Eric?
third option is to hold a town meeting and have an election and a vote.
Okay,
It's not a good meeting.
in that case, I would,
Can we
Make-
make a motion that the municipal manager has the power to
does not,
define-
but
Hmm,
we were elected for a reason to make hard decisions.
hmm. Put a lot of pressure on me.
So it seems like the third option would be to hold a public election. I would make a motion to hold a public election to fill this vacancy. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on holding another public election to fill this vacancy? Any discussion from the public?
No, we should do. I have to make a
Yeah.
decision now. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
comment.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Just
To hold a town meeting and all the expense is just a waste of money, and I think that
agree.
you 5 should sort it out. That's why we elected you.
Okay,
Can we go into recess for 10 minutes?
now, is there any discussion? We're in the middle of a
Sorry.
motion. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor of holding another,
I have more discussion, sorry.
oh yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so Eric said we just have to make you have to post it. And I know he was sort of exaggerating, but the posted notes on the library, posted notes, on all- is that like, can we just put a sheet of paper out like this afternoon that says that?
Yes,
Yes,
And,
I have.
okay, so
paper.
so could, somebody walking by would see that and say, oh, I want to be on the ticket. And they have until when? Till Monday to do that? Or-
So that'll be so once the trustees vote on, decide how they want to do this, then we'll talk about timeframes. What we have currently written up is if the process is application and applying, we had the deadline as April 4th, which would be about a week to give people, the trustees, time to then have a discussion at the next board meeting.
But is there a deadline for application?
So the application that Nikki and I came up with internally was April 4th. That is just what we had talked about. So we had a piece of paper ready. If the trustees want something earlier or later, that also can happen as well.
Would that be a separate motion?
No, that would just be procedural, how we want to do it.
is there further discussion on the motion?
I just want to say, as long as it's simple and fair, no favoritism towards Lisa at all, but I think that the process has to be really simple. It is clear that we had a vote with 2 really close candidates. That's just, again, my comment, but I'm finished the discussion. Thank you. That's
Okay,
all I have to say.
is there any public comment on the motion? Okay, there was a second. All in favor of holding a public, another public election, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed. Public election, you're not gonna be talking about posting, you're talking about
Yeah,
the
well,
whole election.
Yeah, we're talking about having an election, another election is the motion. Does everybody understand the motion? I'm sorry. Okay, you understand the motion? Bill, do you understand the motion? of
You'd have a
holding
public election as in
Another,
town meeting and the whole bit like that.
another election where with trustees, they are voted by Australian ballots. We would not have to have a town meeting. It would be holding another election, Australian ballot.
I vote nay, it's much trouble. I can't do that. We need to decide like this minute.
Okay, then motion fails. Okay, so we've had three options. None of them have received 3 votes, which is what we need to pass something. Is there another motion for how to proceed with this?
Hey, I'll make a motion, can I? Okay, I make a motion that we make it a public transparency and that we do it very, very simply with just a few days' notice. That's not required by law because there's no peg that says you have to do it by 10 days or 4 days or 3 days. But that we post the library, post a town hall with something in writing
Mm.
and let it hang there till Monday, which is the 1st, which is the day that I'm resigning. And if nobody comes to the table, then we don't need to have election. We can make the appointment that day.
So what is your specific motion?
Yeah,
Just
that's what I
say-
said, yeah.
I second that.
Yeah.
What, no, I'm sorry, I'm not clear on the motion.
Yeah,
So
that's-
you want to, oh, so,
So is the motion to post the opening for our procedure
Mm.
from today and close it on April 1st?
Yeah.
So give people 2.5 days to apply?
Yeah,
Right.
so you're talking about opening this process up to anybody in the village who wants to apply
until Monday.
until Monday.
What, close a business Monday or like,
I second.
just so we're clear, the motion on the table that's been seconded is the trustees will create a procedure for people to apply for the open position. And then the trustees will interview them based on who has applied by 4:30 on April 1st, this coming Monday. And if only one person applies, that one person will be interviewed and then go from there.
Is that,
That's good.
okay, there's been a second. Is there any further discussion? Anything from the public online? Anything from the public here? Trustees, any other questions or discussions about that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item on, oh, we don't have any other, next item on the agenda is other business. Is there any other business to come before the trustees today?
I just want to thank Bill Corson for his service. When I came along, he was very helpful for me early on, talking to me. And so I just want to thank him for his service and also want to thank him for stepping down and doing what's best for the trustees, knowing that he can't give his full time and effort and putting the village first. So thank you.
And in return, I would say we picked the right candidate and I'm glad we. But you're you as a candidate, so I meant.
Glad you didn't appoint me.
Okay, in that case, I would make a motion to adjourn at 9:35. Is there a
Wait a minute.
second?
Wasn't there an executive session?
No, that was an optional executive session if
Oh.
we needed it.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah. Is there a second to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Aye.
Trustees. Thank you. Oh, yeah, absolutely.